Like one of you said, Don, since you're reading all those names, maybe you can just kind of skip the sermon today. Maybe keep it short. I love the words that Joe read from the book of Revelation. They're kind of all saints' words. I saw a new heaven and a new earth. I heard a loud voice speaking from the throne. God will wipe away all their tears. There's no more death, no more grief or crying or pain. Old things have disappeared, and I will make all things new. Today we celebrate the saints who have gone to the New Jerusalem, to a kingdom where there is no suffering and pain. And even when I read the names of people I don't know, I kind of get chills because I realize how often in life I just take for granted those who have gone before. All those people that have done so much so that you and me can be here today, that we can be the people we want to be. I know that many of you have been with a loved one when it was just time for them to cross over. It's like you're just waiting for someone to breathe their last. And sometimes you have the privilege, I guess, of being with that person when that moment comes. And it's like when that moment comes, you just want to say these words. You will see a new heaven, and there is a new earth. And God will be with you forever. You can wipe away your tears. There's no more suffering, no more pain. The old has disappeared, and God's going to make all things new. In the meantime, we're here. Now, the world we live in has its share of majesty. We've all had beautiful moments. We've all seen the miracles of what life can bring to us. At the same time, many of you, all of us, have had incredible moments of pain and loss, uncertainty, anxiety. And a word that I've thought a lot about recently is the word endurance. How do you get through stuff? Faith is good, love is good, but I tell you, you got to have endurance. I just think of some of the stuff many of you have gone through. You've gone through things that just test you to the bones. And then at the end of the day, you say, how did I get through it all? And God knows I'm not sure I can get through one more day like this. For example, I think of our church. You know, it began back in 1961 and 1962. People like Joan and her husband and your family, and Mark and Lori. Names you don't know, like Ruby and Jean and Lee and Anne Marie. I remember when I came here to interview back in February 1974, I mean, there was a lot of struggle. I mean, there were buckets with the leaking roof when I was interviewed. They were talking about the money problems, talking about working with the synod, all that hard work, and then on top of all that, they went to the bishop and said, we want a pastor with some experience, who knows what he's doing. And they got stuck with a 25-year-old Swede with bad hair. And the rest is history. But I was thinking of all the hard work that went into keeping the church strong. All the sacrifices, the endurance, because they were determined that somehow, some way, the church was going to survive. And what about the pandemic? People say, how are you surviving? People say, is the church always going to be open? What's the church going to look like? And I can't name names because I would leave people out, but there have been people that have literally been here almost every single day. And even those of you who don't come here, you send in your donations to make sure the church is going to survive. What's the key for survival? Faith helps, hope helps, but the bottom line, you got to endure. You got to grit your teeth, and you got to fight for what you believe in. Endurance is not always easy. I think of those words in 2 Timothy, which I usually say at a funeral, where it says, I have done my best in the race. I have run my full distance. I have kept the faith. And waiting for me is that victory prize of being put right with God. Yesterday I was at a hospice center, and I was there with Dorothy Ellis, who, if she hasn't crossed over this morning, she's going to cross over right away. I thought she was going to die right there when I was there. And I read that passage to Dorothy. I thought she could hear it. And she has done her best in the race. And she has run the full distance. and she has kept the faith. But then I got into my pickup truck, and I drove back to daily life. I drove back to the church, drove back to my house, drove back into the world in which I live in every day. And I realized that every single day, I need to stop and ask myself the question, Don, have you done your best in the race? Have you run the full distance? Have you kept the faith? And isn't this what religion is all about? All those 59 years ago, just doing your best to keep the church going, running the full distance and keeping the faith. And isn't that why we light candles on All Saints Sunday? Because someday there may be a candle on the altar, if our kids remember, in honor or memory of one of us. And maybe someday in the future, some little kid's going to get a volleyball named after you and going to bring that volleyball home. In the meantime, the sun rises over LaGrange Road, and we have a lot to do before the sun sets on our life. And sometimes I wonder if we'll ever get there. But there's lots of keys to that, and number one, with God's help, is endurance. Amen. If you're able to, please rise for the creed.